Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Feed the Beast StoneBlock 3. Today I kind of figured we'd mess around with a little bit of everything. I mean, that seems to be the theme with every episode. I dressed up this little enchanting area a little bit, and I've got tons of this archwood, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's I hate to say it, but it's probably my favorite thing about Ars Nouveau is the archwood logs and the animated textures that they've chosen for it. It's really just lovely. Today, I was thinking a while ago I was supposed to progress with the terrestrial agglomeration plate as well as get some sparks going, and I figured I might start off with that. We might do a little Ars Nouveau, I'm not sure, but I really wanted to get into some power and get some power generation going over in that corner. I kind of removed a few things in preparation for that because if you notice here, we've got in here that this nitro battery, it's at 160 million, but yeah, it's got a ways to go. So let's just start off with something a little simpler, and then we'll get into some more complex tech. I like mixing it up, otherwise I get a little burned out on one thing or another. Anyway, I did make a pocket storage unit. They're really basic things. You just make them with some kind of chest and a few items, and they're basically a dank null, if you're familiar with that mod, or it was originally created by, I think, Open Blocks. They had like a null void item or something like that. It would always hold 64 blocks of one item and then void everything else after that. And you could have them attuned to one item at a time. Well, these, of course, can have multiple because I've got the tier 3. Tier 4, which you can have up to 31 different things in here. Tier 4 requires, again, the nether stars, which I do not have access to yet, but it's been pretty handy to have that thing around. It does keep my inventory a little bit cleaner. You'll also probably notice that my avatar, if you look on the right side here, is holding on to something a little bit interesting, and that is my new shield. This is something else I wanted to use from Immersive Engineering. It's a heavy plated shield. It doesn't have a ton of durability. The 1024 can go pretty quick when you've got the amount of mobs in this area, but it also does do little like zapping effects. Best of all, you can see through it, specifically because I've got a shader on there that allows it to be transparent. That same shader will not make the mining drill transparent, but I just love that it is transparent. Let's get going with making terrestrial agglomeration plates and some sparks. So sparks are really important in Botania, specifically because they create a network connecting all of your pools. And now that I'm looking at this, I think I need to have this aiming here, and this aiming here. Yeah, and then I need to grab some coal, grab a stack, because this thing doesn't actually drop the coal fast enough anymore. So I'm just going to throw, actually I can throw a whole stack down. And then all the flowers will light up. There we go, all at once. And then they'll both start like off-putting the mana that they're trying to generate. I'm not really concerned if that coal gets disappeared or not, as I've got plenty. But anyway, sparks create a network. You can connect them on every single one of these things, which makes your area so much more sparkly, it's ridiculous. But you can have it so that they can all be drawn from one pool to another, or pushed out from one pool, or have one pool be a dominant pool, or all sorts of stuff like that. But we need to kind of experiment a little bit with that. In this point, though, it's just going to really help with moving the mana around from one pool to another rather quickly, or in this case, to a terrestrial agglomeration plate. First, let's see about making a bunch of these. I am going to need a bunch of the petals. We're going to go with 15, exactly how many I have all those petals for. That should get me started with some of this stuff, but not all of it. And you're going to want to, actually I might need to unequip this shield. Sneak right click, or is it just right click? No, that's actually placing it in this thing. I'm going to want that back place. Okay. I wasn't sure if it would actually connect with this or not, but apparently it does not. But just right clicking on the different pools allows you to add it to a spark network of sorts. All right, so I've got all of them clicked with one in reserve because I'm going to use that on the terrestrial agglomeration plate. I don't have some of these out here. I'll have to make some more, but I'm not really too bothered with it. So the terrestrial agglomeration plate, I have runes of earth and air, I believe. Yes, that is correct. And I still need fire, mana, and water, plus of course a bunch of lapis and blocks of mana steel, but I got the mana steel from bees, so I'm not too bothered. There we have it. All of the runes needed. Let's just grab one of each of these. And in fact, I still have one of those each. I will need one mana steel block. And then just some lapis. I think I can actually craft that as is now. Let's try it. So regular crafting and done. There we go. One terrestrial agglomeration plate. So this is going to be interesting. I have no idea. Let's just set it. No, shoot. I can't just set it there. I just realized that's a bad idea because it needs a special setup underneath. I think that this just goes with one each on the corners and maybe one in the middle. I don't know if it requires more lapis or not. I mean, it's easy enough to get. And by the way, thank you for those that have answered about how I can clear this real easy. Just right-clicking the output. Oh, it's so nice. Thank you. I might need to put lapis under in the middle. Either way, we'll find out momentarily. Put down this agglomeration plate. Then I can put a spark on top. We can then grab one of this, one of that, one of that. Toss all of these in place. Let's actually grab this. Can I click these? Oh, I can click them now. Nice. And then I just want to sneak. Oh, look at that. See, all the sparks just instantly teleported the mana over to where it was needed. Oh, that's really good. All right, so that works. I have my first Terrestrial ingot, which is nice. Not that I really need the armor at this point, because I think this stuff is actually going to be a little bit more powerful. But still, it's good to have this all set up and done. Over in Britannia, that gets us that completed. And for that, we get some diamond ore. Whatever. Elven Gateway Core. That's something worth noting because I am going to want to open that probably really soon. I've got a spot over here set up for it as well that I can put the Elven Gateway in. I think this looks pretty good here. We can just have this off on the side. Nothing really going to hurt there. I might accidentally pick up some coal on occasion, but I think that I can have some mana pools on either side with some pylons just above. Hopefully that's not too close. But I am going to need a few more materials and to clear the rest of this out. We're going to need an Elven Gateway Core, a Natura Pylon, which is also made from a mana pylon, and of course a whole bunch of the living wood that I have currently. So let's get a bunch of this. And if you notice, we need 3 Terrestrial nuggets for the Elven Gateway Core, which is the single piece at the bottom here. Then we're going to need 3 each to convert the mana pylons. So that 1 ingot of Terrestrial we made is going to be used to make 2 pylons and 1 Gateway Core. Let's start off with making some mana pylons. I've got enough ingredients in here to get those set up, which, by the way, you can use these in place of books or bookshelves around enchanting altars, and they'll work just the same, which I think is really nice. I don't know if I have any Eyes of Ender. Let's find out. I must have gotten some from bees or some other drops like that, but I now have 2 Natura pylons. And now 1 Elven Gateway Core should do the trick. Let's put this down here. Then I can take some of this living wood on either side. I want it to be facing the right way. I don't like having my stuff here not facing the proper direction either. It just has to look pretty. Our glimmering living wood, put that in place as well. And then of course we've got the Natura pylons in either location. And I made a couple more sparks just so I can hook these up and have those a little bit better set up. So let's actually change the direction of these things for the moment. Let's have this one go here and this one go. Can I have you reach this one? There we go. Hopefully that'll work. For the time being though, let's get a little bit more coal. Let's grab not just one, I want a stack. And throw it over there so that this one can totally get overflowed. Yes, let the mana flow. Okay, so I'm not sure if I need the Wand of the Forest or if I need an open hand. But, well, I guess it's not an open hand. Ah, Wand of the Forest. There we go. Portal tried opening, but there wasn't enough mana in either of these. So I could probably fix that. Let's do, I've got my mana tablet. I can just toss this in there for now, and it will fill that up. we're going to need a bunch to start with, because it takes a lot to get it started, but then after that, I don't think it requires anything more to keep it running. There's about half a tablet's worth. Let's toss this one in here now. There we go. I just refilled mine from a random pool over here. These both are, I don't know, a decent amount full. I got about a third. Okay, maybe a quarter on that one. Let's find out if this works now. Is that enough? Ooh, took a big chunk out, but that was enough. So now we can toss things in here and get the results back. And the first thing I'm going to toss in there, oh, I've already got it on me, is the Lexica Botania. Let's throw that in, and we get our new and improved Lexica Botania, which has all sorts of good stuff in here. For starters, we're going to want Elementium ingots, which are made from mana steel, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio. And I don't think I have any left. I think I used it all up. Now I got 4 ingots left. I think I'm going to need a little bit more. So let's get some iron. We'll grab a stack of 64, and we'll see how we do with this. Let's just toss this in here and see how much we get. We got 35. That's not bad. And then I can toss this one in here. And that finishes off the rest of that. And then if I take these, it should be a 2-to-1. So I should get, what, 16 blocks of this stuff? There we go. Lovely. All right, 16 blocks. And then I can put it here. Aha! And there. Now I have a decent amount of both of those. And of course, with this, it means that I can start making some other interesting things from Botania. But that is going to be for future me. I think we've spent enough time with some mana right now. I'm going to let this just constantly keep feeding these 2 mana pools for now, and then I'll have them working over here. I specifically want to use these to make specific sparks. Let's see, we've got dispersive, dominant, recessive, isolated. Each of these required some pixie dust, which is mana pearls tossed in there. Oh, I forgot I need those. Let's toss 16 of those in there. And is it a 1-to-1? Throw those in. And I got 6. It is 1-to-1. Okay, good. Good. This is very, very nice. So now that I have that, I can start making some of these different augmentive sparks. Each one has a different trait, and it will definitely help me so that I don't need to specifically have these things being like constantly readjust where these the mana spreaders are facing. I can have them aiming elsewhere, or just all at one location, and then everything will go to the right spot. I should be able to make some of this stuff right away. I have an earth one here that's about to be made up, but I need a fire one, and I just need to make 2 sparks for now, 1 dominant and 1 recessive. There we go, 2 more earth. I only need 1 of those, and I've got a fire one. I think with this stuff I should be able to make these. I just need pixie dust and mana steel for each of them. So let's grab a couple of those, and now I can make this one and this one. There we go. So with the recessive, this means everything that is in this pool will be spread out to nearby ones. So I'm going to have this one in the middle, spreading out to all of the other ones in the network. So I should just need to aim at the spark. There we go. And you see it just dispersed everything out of it, which is great. That means that I can have this aiming here. I said this aiming here. There we go. And this one aiming here. And that means all I have now is these 2 to aim at this location, and it'll fill up all the nearby spark network located sparks. And then there's a dominant one that I will want to ensure stays full. And that's going to be this one here, because it's going to be aiming at the runic altar. It's also got the change transmogrifier block underneath it. I don't remember what it's actually called, but I can't access it because this darn mana spreader's in the way. So I'm going to have to move that briefly so I can click on this spark just to make sure this one stays full, and then I should be good to go. The only other thing I was thinking of is that I probably need to get some glimmering wood and take some of this elementium that I now have, plus some petals, and upgrade my mana spreaders so that they're a bit more effective in transporting stuff. They'll shoot further, they'll shoot more, and they're just going to be better all around. So how do I get some Dreamwood logs? I just toss living wood ones in there, of course. So let's take this. I'm going to want 6 each. There we go. That should be good enough. Then I can just grab these and toss them in. And I get my Dreamwood logs, which also they're just prettier. And 3 mana spreaders done. So this is going to be the interesting part, is that I'm going to break all 3 of these and probably never use them again. But I will put one here and have it aiming at that. Then I will also put one over here. Now I don't want to put them in in a location where they're going to actually be part of the mana pool spread. So I'm going to want to put it here, because if it's like directly next to or above or below a mana pool, it will start trying to like use that to shoot the mana with instead of accepting from the flowers. So I'm going to take this and aim it here, and I'm going to take this and aim it here. Now on top of this, you notice that they're not shooting anything. You can break and replace all of the flowers, or more simply, I think I can take this floral obedience stick and I can just click here. There we go. Everything is now going into this 1 elven mana spreader. It's a little bit much, but it at least takes care of 1/2 of them that I need to worry about. Then I can just rebind the other half to this one. Now we have it, 1 elven gateway, and a lot of super duper sparkly stuff going on at the moment. And now for the other part of this, I plan on energizing some stuff so that we can upgrade our power. What I'd like to do is make some reactors from power. If you're not familiar with that, there is a power manual. You just take some dielectric paste in a book and click on here. It's actually a really good instruction book. It's one of the better ones I've seen, and it tells you all about it. We've got your starter one, and if you look at the power per tick, that's like, multiply that by 20, and that's how much you get per second. So as we get higher and higher and higher, yeah, Niotic spirited 100,000 and then 500, 500,000 power per tick. That's quite impressive. And I don't plan on sticking with just a starter or basic on this one. I would like to actually get up to higher levels. These do require nitro crystals, which require nether stars, so maybe not quite that high. Yeah, I think we could probably easily get up to the spirited one, which, by the way, I just like the green color anyway, so that works for me, because, again, I still am going to reach that threshold where I'm struggling with the nether stars, but that's okay. That's another task. I have plans for that in the future, but for the moment, I'm experimenting and having fun with this. So before we get up there, though, we're going to need to get some other things going here, because I think if we were to make the spirited ones, yeah, it requires the Niotic ones, and then the blazing ones, and the hardened ones, and the basic, and the starter. So it's just this cascading effect. And 4 equals 4. And we'll also need this stuff, which can be made by crushing deep slate, and then re-crushing crushed deep slate will get you an 8% chance of that. And of course, some uranium as well. And I'm not pronouncing it specifically because I pronounce it very poorly. By tossing in a whole bunch, I got 56 in here, it looks like. Yeah, and we've got a whole bunch of cobalt and some debris, scrap and such, which is good because I'm going to need this stuff. Let's see, how do I get the most out of this? Oh, it looks like by energizing it, I can double the quantity that's in there. That's interesting. So if I take this 60 that I have, put it in here, I think I can only put in... Wait, can I put in all of them at once? I can, but it's only going to zap one at a time. And then I get 2. Okay. I feel like this is step 1 of the automation, is doubling this power source, which is, it's a crafting ingredient at the moment, but ultimately it's also going to be a power source. And I'm going to want to do that by changing up some of the undercarriage of this, and perhaps setting on some kind of timer. At the moment, though, I'm curious, because if we just have that stuff being pumped in, it's going to try putting in all of them at once. So I wonder if a redstone comparator works with this item. So let's try that, because if it does, that could have a big improvement on this. Let's try putting in 1. Okay, so that's giving a power of 6, and there's 6 in there. And if we're at 1, oh, it does give a power of 1. So that could totally work. Okay, all right. So I have this. I got this. I wonder if I can actually insert from the side. It looks like it. Everything connects properly. So, and it also connects on the top as well. This is good news. Okay, so I kind of destroyed the entire area I was working on, and I made a temporary, even though it looks like it's a little more final, setup here. I have inputs and outputs. Inputs usually are green, at least that's what I've learned from thermal, and red tends to be output, so that's what I'm going with. I have a simple setup of a bunch of basic furnators with basic energizing rods attached to those for speed, and of course it's all being fed by a coal chicken with some item pipes underneath. Nothing really fancy there, right? Well, this is where it gets a little bit fancy, but also rather simple if you think about it. So I tried using item pipes, but the problem was, even with basic or no upgrades in the item pipes, they still move more than one item at a time. They move like 3 or 6 or something like that, which this needs exactly 1 at a time for it to work in some cases. So in this case, I decided to just use this for an output, and that's it. It pretty much will only remove the end result item, and I need to input the regular, which is being fed by a hopper. Now, a hopper usually will just automatically start feeding things 1 at a time, and that's fine. Oops, I keep doing that. I really need to, like, get a better doorway. Anyway, if you look back here, I have a redstone receiver from RF Tools utility. This is just simplifying a lot of redstone that you can manipulate with vanilla Minecraft. I also have a redstone transmitter. Now, I will probably expand on this, as I will need over time to increase how this works. You know, because I'll need to put in more than just 1 item at a time, and it'll need to all go at the same time. But and this will need to be expanded. That's why I'm saying this is temporary, because this is only going to work for 1 type of item at a time. And that's pretty much it. And that is transforming the raw into the end result. And if I take, let's see, this is the input here. If I put 30 of these in here, they'll just instantly get zapped. Like, it's not even, oh, I think those are back too far. Okay, today I learned. All right, well, actually, I might be able to fix that. Let's take these off of here. Still make this work with what I've got set up. You see that these are actually still more than adequate for this stuff. Let's put it on the front. And then I can put this on the front of those, and then maybe it'll reach. Oh, if it had any more left. Let's put in a whole stack this time. And it looks like it's working. I'm not even seeing the laser beams. It's going so fast. Okay, so with so much power running, things are working just fine. And then in the output bin, you can see everything's going in here. So I will be making more of these and using them and showing you how it works. But basically, if this has anything in it, the redstone comparator will give will read off of it, and it can give a power reading. Now, you could extend that with like a repeater or something like that and power it up and have it go further, whatever. But I just want it to pick up that redstone signal and send it over to a hopper and stop it, so that it actually has a moment for these things to get processed. Now, I think, because I've been going downstairs and mining out a whole lot of deep slate, just so that you are aware this is where this came from. I then crushed it with a hammer and threw it in to get processed in here. And I now have a whole bunch of this, as well as other resources like cobalt, uranium, debris scrap, and ichor crystals. That's great. But actually, here, let's just use the input instead of going back there. We'll throw all these in here, and it should double the output that I get. Look at all this stuff that I'm getting now. But that's not all we're doing. We're going to need to make things like energized steel, which, if you look in the energizing orb, it requires iron and gold, which means I then have to have 2 inputs. So I have to have 2 hoppers receiving redstone signals at the same time, so that they both go in and out together. Which means I'm probably going to have to move this around a bit and not have these like really cool in and out barrels that I currently had set up before, because it's going to need to have multiple accesses. But let's look further than that, because I feel like I'm going to need more. Yeah, this one here either requires 1 blaze rod and less energy, or 3 blaze powder. Not as concerned about that, because I can just toss in blaze rods. The Niotic crystal, oh wow, that's just 1 diamond each. That's simple enough. Spirited crystal, 1 emerald each. The nitro crystal, oh, 4 each. Okay, so this is where it's going to run into a little bit of an issue. I'm going to want to set this up for future me. This is past me, or current me, looking out for future me, which usually is like the best me, because they have potential to get everything done, whereas normal me, present time me, does not. Anyway, I'm going to try and reproduce this with 4 inputs going into the energizing orb, which means probably 4 hoppers is all I'm going to use. And then I can have barrels if I really want to, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to use hoppers. And then I'll have an on-off switch set up for it. So I'm going to try and reproduce this in this little area here so that it can actually fit. It's going to be a bit tricky though. Alright, so I'm going to need 4 inputs into this, which means I'm going to use 3 of the sides, 1 on top. Then I'm going to need to have a redstone output. Plus I'm going to need to have a spot where I can also grab the results from this. Which can go underneath. That should take up all the sides. That's probably why it only has 4 setups. Okay, alright, so let's move this thing. Now notice that the 1 redstone receiver that I have just mined actually doesn't stack with the 3 that I have just crafted up. Reason being is that this one has been set to look for this transmitter, and to do that you basically place down what is receiving the redstone signal, and then you hold the ones that you want to receive it, and you just right click. It says channel set to 1, so then it'll look for the signals from this one. Provided that area is loaded, it should be good to go. But specifically, you'll notice that these don't stack still, and that's because they were in 2 different locations, so you're also going to want to have the location finalized as well. So let's put down an output, and I know that usually working backwards sometimes helps. In this case, I hope it will, because it's going to be very difficult to reach some of this after the fact. Let's get my wrench here, have that export things, and I'm only going to want it to have certain things exported. In this case, we're going to want some of these things specifically made by hand, just so that I can make it, unless... Can I grab these things in here? No, I can't. Oh, but I can move them around? Oh, I didn't realize that REI had that. That's kind of cool. So let's get a little bit of gold and iron, and that'll turn it into energized steel instantly, which then I can put on here as an output. So when these get turned into it, obviously me just placing it into it, it doesn't trigger for it to actually grab it. But when they get transformed into it, it will automatically go into there, and I can then grab those. So I'm going to want 1 of each of these so that I can list these as a possible output to take. And there's a blaze rod right there. Let's just put 1 of those in. That might take a second because it's going to require a little bit more power. Then I can add that to the list. 1 diamond, of course, that will take a moment as well. There we go, 1 niotic crystal, and then I can put that on the list. And of course, we're going to need an emerald transformed. And there we have it. That did take a moment for that to come through, the spirited ones, which is actually the level that we're going for. So we're going to need, let's see, a hopper at the top. We're going to need hopper on some of the sides here. And you already noticed that I've got some connection issues that I'm going to remove. There we go. Put that in there. Now, I will need a way of shutting all these off as well. Let's start with the redstone comparator. And then when there is something in there, it should give off some kind of signal to stop things. But I'm going to want the transmitter, the single item. But that is obviously facing the wrong direction. We can fix that. The simple wrench click. Just about any of the wrenches should work on these things. Actually, most of them are fairly universal. I kind of like it. Then we'll need redstone receivers, which then are going to be giving signals to the different hoppers. So don't be like me and place all these things down and forget to actually connect them. So let's right click, all 4 are set to channel 1. Then I can place them down. and I can rearrange them with the wrench after I've got them where I need them to be. There's that, 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 and that. Okay, so this is getting a redstone signal, and it's sending out the redstone signal to all of these other hoppers in place, so that it will stop them as soon as something goes in there. And as they're hoppers, they should insert slow enough that only one item will be inserted at a time. And I'm going to take this other redstone transmitter, which is the same thing as this, and have it in another location so that I can actually shut this thing on and off. Replacing that stone, I can then put a lever in place. Redstone should stop things from going in. Yes, it worked. Now just to double check, it works on all 4 of these hoppers. Yep, everything's good. It stops all of them because it's currently getting a redstone signal from here. Nice. This gives me an opportunity to insert things into multiple locations. So let's actually test a 4-way insert in this case. So I can grab some blaze powder. Yes. And I can make 4 stacks. With this turned on, I can then put a stack into each of these hoppers. And this should make the blazing crystal, because I believe it's got, 2 different recipes, the blaze powder and the blaze rods. And then by turning this off, it should insert all 4 at once. Yep. And then it gets the power and everything gets processed. And then eventually goes out because we already did the filter into the output barrel. And you can start seeing the blazing crystals coming through. Nice! Okay, so this now works with up to 4 different ingredients. Alright, there, they finished up. So let's take into here, we're going to put a stack of gold, and here a stack of iron, then we're going to turn it back on, and that should quickly make us, wow, that does go really fast, a whole bunch of energized steel, which I probably don't need that much of, but it's good to have the reserve for it, so I don't need to worry about it as much in the future. And that's what I'm going to do between episodes here, is I'm actually just going to start updating these things so that I'm generating more power. Also, so that I can get everything ready and set for a reactor, which I'm thinking I'm going to build in this corner, but I don't know. It's kind of messy right now, and I might need to clean things up a little bit. But with that said, I think I'm ending it here. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, don't be afraid to stop by on Twitch. We stream regularly. Also, we have a new YouTube channel called Mischief of Mice 2 that you can search for or click probably on the screen now, and go check it out. It's where we've been uploading our VODs from Twitch on a regular basis. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.